why are we educating our citizens?
Higher educational attainment among political leaders does not necessarily translate into superior economic outcomes. What did you think about that?
It's such a great paradox to say that we have learned people in this position and the economy sort of is so struggling.
We encourage more of the female economists to come forward and have conversations with us.
They are actually trying. The issue is everywhere anyway, but I think economics is more. Economics is a tough piece. If there's no trust in the economy, a nation will fail.
Welcome to a very special episode of the Economic Jigsaw. My name is Evelyn Epelle, your co-host.
And my name is Omolola Lipede.
We're so excited to be here at day one of the Nigerian Economic Society annual conference.
Today has been packed with a lot of activities, starting from registration, starting from the opening ceremony, and a lot of interesting stuff that I'm sure myself and Evelyn will be sharing with you very soon.
We're so excited to meet policymakers and critical stakeholders who are convening here at the Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Center to discuss some of the issues in Nigeria's economy. One of the most engaging and insightful sessions for me was when the NES president, Professor Adeola Adenikinju, gave a very deep analysis about, the correlation between having politicians who are highly trained and even having economists in positions that are critical to managing the economy and still not getting successes as a result of their training. I think that was such a paradox. I don't think I have confronted it in the way that he did. And this handout that was also given that captures not just his speech but the entire analysis. What did you think about that?
Yeah, listening to him speak, I was marveled, like, especially when he was trying to dissect the number of the performances of ministers of finance, the performances of CBN, central bank governors, and he was trying to see those that performed well.
Yes.
And he went into those that are economists, like economists advanced in economics level, those are lawyers, and he even went to those that are just from biz admin and all. So it's such a great paradox to say that we have learned people in this position and the economy sort of is so struggling.
I want to read a sentence from his speech that really captures, all of these thoughts that we have shared. And he was talking about the analysis about whether or not university education and its correlation to economic growth aligns. And it says here that it is evident in the sophistication of export compositions, the development of human capital, and other indicators of economic competitiveness that university education and investment in university education is critical. But it also says here that our findings, consistent with existing literature, suggest that higher educational attainment among political leaders does not necessarily translate into superior economic outcomes. The whole idea of the economic jigsaw, I still remember when the idea of the economic jigsaw was conceived, was really to bring to the fore some of our economic and policy experts to piece together some of the issues that the Nigerian economy faces. And today we're faced with this paradox that talks about how being an expert economist does not necessarily mean that you're the savior of the economy. And I like that he talked about non-economists and non-conformists who may also have critical ideas that can be brought forward for action. How do you think that economists gathered here today receive that? What could you tell about their body language and listening to that?
So at first, looking at the audience, I could see a sign of they were not really having it.
Yeah.
Like, but I think some of them had to just think about it again. Like Professor Jalingo, when she will give her own speech as the past president of NES, she said the president has spoken and there's nothing to add, there's nothing to subtract.
Yes.
And I don't even think we should have a question. So it's just to show that, okay, apart from these statistics that we have, and data cannot really lie. The data, like, it is there.
That's
it
correct.
showed everything. It's just for us to sit down and reflect on, this is what the data is saying. This is the fact. Then what's the story attached to it? Is there something we are missing from the story? Yes, the story data we actually tell.
Yes.
But story will show us what is really going on. So I think it's just time for, I don't want to say sober reflection, but
In
I think
this,
it's time for reflection.
yes.
Maybe we are doing something wrong. Thomas Sankara will say governance is not rocket science. So I think this is just the situation. You're an expert does not really mean you have a magic wand that will make the economy go well.
I think for me, what I enjoyed, and even looking at the body language of all of them, is that the discernment of truth was rife today. And the fact that, everyone in the hall were all mature enough to sit with the truth and analyze it in such a way that we need to know as a country that, our level of intellectualism directly correlates to our economic performance. However, in this special episode, we're so delighted because this would be the first time that Omolola and I would be on set um, in person, and it's so exciting to the both of us because the idea, the idea of the podcast really is to cover a very wide range of topics in different corners of the country, and we hope that we can bring the podcast to a city near you in the near future. Today is quite busy for us here at the NES conference. We have spoken to the special advisor to the president on economic matters, Dr. Tope Fashwa. We also met Professor Sarah Ayanwu earlier. We encourage more of the female economists to come forward and have conversations with us. We also met with our partner, Dr. Adedeji Adenira, the Director of Research at the Center for the Study of the Economies of Africa, and the Vice President, the Vice Chancellor of Ignatius University, who joined us here on set for a special segment. We're also looking forward to welcoming the Chief Economist of the Africa Development Bank, Professor Kevin Urama, who is in the building as well, and a host of others. Professor Akin Iwayemi is here. If you didn't listen to our previous episode 003 is still streaming on Spotify that talks about fuel subsidy. Omolola, what did you enjoy about that episode?
The fact that fuel subsidy was not an intervention that should last more than 6 months. That was like a shock.
Yeah.
So it was just an intervention for 6 months that's taking years.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, a president brought it in, supposed to go out 6 months, but Nigerians enjoyed it, and there was nobody very confident enough to build the cards to remove it.
Yeah, and this takes me back to the trending speech from the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who suggested that the time has come for Nigeria to sort of ascend into this new social contract era, where there's an understanding that sound policies do not necessarily have to end when a dispensation ends, and that politics should not trump policy making. I think that points directly to what you're saying, where is that there's this temporal nature of the decision making that we do in Nigeria, and the fact that it's not coordinated. So one person starts something, is brilliant, someone else comes he doesn't necessarily analyze the extent to which his predecessor has gone with a policy or with an idea, and they immediately just start something new without necessarily aligning with.
So it actually affects and it leads to more imbalance in the economy. Because before the economy will adjust, you are coming to remove it. The economy will try to adjust, somebody else is coming to.
That's
There's
true.
a whole lot. And another issue I have with this intervention is trust.
Yeah.
Like, a nation runs on trust. Why? I think there's a book on Why Nations Fails.
Yeah.
The major thing, I can't remember the name of the author now. I can't remember, just fly out of my head. The major thing the author was saying is if there's no trust in the economy, a nation will fail. So I
Right.
think that's the issue we have because when you speak to an average Nigerian,
Mm-hmm.
they'll tell you first subsidy is not an issue. But if our government, I'm speaking their language now, gets this money, do you think they will use it for the right thing?
Hmm.
I think that's the major issue, not really about it's not that Nigerians are not willing to suffer for a while, but do they trust you enough
Right.
after they suffer for a while to use the money effectively?
And I think that the issue with trust in Nigeria now, because let us look at this from the governance issues we're having. Why do citizens not participate in governance, for example? And why is the deficit at an all time high? I think it's because of the pattern of behavior over a period of time.
Exactly.
So now people are not trusting words anymore
They want to
because there's
see.
a gap between words and actions,
Exactly.
right? Look, even what the problem we have before our hands that has almost gotten swept under the carpet, which I hope to ask some of our policy experts in the house today, with the issue of the new naira that came out during the
Oh my
election.
god.
Now we're all walking around as if it's normal,
Now I
but we have
have
different colors
different color of
of naira
currency.
notes. So some of the questions we're going to be asking today on the economic jigsaw would really be how do we reconcile those types levels of
I'm telling
confusions? For
you,
example, how do we
economics
explain
confused.
that at even a color coding level we are confused as a nation where we're not even clear which
Which of
naira is
which
in
of the narratives
circulation and which
is
isn't.
what?
But I'm glad
Sorry,
that
speaking on that, I really believe the current um, administration is not really interested in that narrow redesign because I strongly believe if they are interested, the moment there's a mob out,
mm,
they should not take it back to the economy.
right.
So I don't think they're really interested in this. So
the,
for
their
now, we have
their
to still
their
keep on
non-interest is
circulating.
tied to this same issue of poor coordination we're talking
Exactly.
about and the disjoint policy making
Making and
that we're
all.
talking about. But how do we address it? How do we move forward? And I'm sort of taken aback by all of this because some of the decision makers are in the room today. So beyond even the policy makers and the policy expert and the expert economists, it would be nice to also bring some of the decision
Decision makers.
makers
Yeah.
from the government to our podcast. We'll do our best to do that
We'll
for
try.
our audience. It's so nice to see you, Omolola. For an economist and wearing
Yeah.
pink, that makes me very happy because when I think about economics, it gets,
Oh
I,
please.
I try to look like the economists today
I'm not
with my
your
suits.
I'm not
And
like
you
economics,
chose
I'm different.
you chose the sass. I love it.
I'm
I
a
love it.
different one.
Thank you all so much for sticking with us since the maiden edition of the Economic Jigsaw. Episode 003 is so special because it's our special edition here at the NES conference. It would be a compilation of conversations from policy experts and economists here at the Shehu Musari Adwa Center. One person I'm very excited to speak to is Dr. Oluwatosin Deborah Edafe, who won the NES Thesis Awards last year. She's currently a research fellow at the Center for the Study of the
It's so
Economies
nice
of
to have her.
Africa, and she would join us here on set of the Economic Jigsaw to speak to some of her recent projects, including a systems thinking analysis of Nigeria's basic education system.
Wait, are you serious? System thinking
Yes,
analysis of Nigerian
yes,
space education?
basic education system.
I will be
Yes.
so glad to be
I
there.
know. I am very
Honestly.
excited. Education definitely was the conversation and the theme of the
Yeah.
president's speech today, where he talked about the correlation between
Between the
investments in university education and economic growth. One of the things I'm looking forward to asking Dr. Daffy really should be about the education to labor market transitions, how
yes.
that applies to women in the economy, for example. Why do we have a lot of female graduates from the departments of economics all across the country? But today in the hall, where are the women economics?
And
Where
even
are
when they
they?
get to transition to higher level,
Yeah. Where
they
are they,
mostly
Omolola?
fall out.
Where are your
I'm here.
counterparts?
As far as I can see, I am here.
Thanks for being here. We need more female economists.
Yeah, we are actually trying. The issue is everywhere anyway, but I think economics is more. Economics is a tough course. So
Yeah.
let's take this out of the video you.
No, we won't. No, we won't.
Economics is actually a tough course and it requires a lot. So you, I, anytime I tell people I'm doing my PhD in economics, they go
Yeah.
like,
Wow.
it's because they necessarily don't believe they can see a woman going that far in that field. And it's
Yeah.
not their fault. It requires a lot. And so imagine a woman that has children to take care of, home, and gender roles, and I don't want to go into all of these things anyway. So it's a lot. You need to be able to focus on it. So I don't blame those women anyway, but please, you guys should come. Economics is interesting. There are interesting things in economics. So we
Yes.
have development economics, we have a lot of behavioral economics, we have a lot of interesting stuff. And I would really like to meet
Dr. Oluwatosin Deborah
because
Edafe.
I'm
Brilliant
very
lady.
interested in education. I work in education sector
Yes.
as a project manager. So system thinking. I know
Yes.
system thinking. So I'm like, wow.
Yes. I'm so excited. And I can't wait until she's right here with us on set of the Economic
I have a
Jigsaw.
question to ask anyway. I want to ask what do you think the Nigerian government should focus on when it comes to education, investing in education? I think we need to answer this question. Why are we educating our citizens? I think that will help us because it's just like because they say education is good, everybody wants to be educated. But why do we want to educate people? So that's just my belief. But I would
Yes.
really like to ask her to know what she knows.
Dr. Dafe is going to be here shortly, as with Dr. Professor Kevin Urama and the rest.
President.
Yes, and the president of the Nigerian Economic Society, Professor Adiola Adenikinju, who I want to give a shout out, by the way. Prof has been very supportive of the team here at the Economic Jigsaw and consistently ensuring that we have a steady supply of economic experts on the program. Thank you so much, Professor Adenikinju. So we'll go on a short break right now. When we return, it would be a live set with one of our speakers.
Nigeria is a country with huge potentials and good fundamentals. But in recent times, Nigeria has been grappling with several economic challenges. There is rising inflation, there's the forex crisis, and there is recently the debate on the new minimum wage. My name is Dr. Chukwuka Yapada. I'm the Executive Director of Center for the Study of the Economies of Africa. CSEA is an economic think tank that uses evidence-based research to inform economic policies in Nigeria and Africa broadly. We're happy to be partnering with the Nigerian Economic Society, which has a pool of expert economists, and that fits nicely into our work in CC in advancing evidence-based economic policymaking.
My name is Professor Adiola Adenikinju. I'm a professor of economics at the University of Ibadan and the current president of the Nigerian Economic Society, the NES. The NES is the oldest professional society in the social sciences in Nigeria. It was started in 1957 in London. And basically it provides an umbrella for all trade economists and allied professionals. We are very proud to be collaborating with the Center for the Studies of Economies of Africa. We just signed an MOU that allows both of us to work together. And one area of this collaboration is the production of a podcast. The podcast that is called the Economic Jigsaw will provide an opportunity for economists, Nigerian economists, to actually be able to share their perspectives on various economic policies, put in place by the government. It would also provide, in my view, an opportunity for young academics and students to also listen to the views and perspectives of experts in this area.
I'm happy to introduce the Economic Jigsaw, which is a podcast that will be done periodically and will focus on several economic issues, whereby we'll bring expert opinions to weigh in on all these issues that Nigeria is facing.
This podcast is going to give an opportunity for government to actually get a feedback also from trade economists, and also get some recommendations on how we can make these reforms succeed and how we can make our economy to be better.
Please follow us to subscribe to the different social media handles that we'll be showing, or presenting this economic jigsaw. Thank you very much.
Please keep supporting us. You can follow the Economic Jigsaw on social media.
On Instagram, LinkedIn,
Facebook.
Twitter.
Yes.
Please engage.
Not TikTok. We're not on TikTok yet, but perhaps. And you can stream live episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and if you want to see our faces, YouTube.
Yeah. And please engage, comment,
Like, share, forward, and listen and enjoy economics. Until next time. Okay.
So
We have enough